What's up, world? Welcome to the new season of Nerdy Dating. This is season 4, episode 100, the big 100. Yes, we are here on episode 100. Thank you guys for being a part of this journey. Thank you guys for watching this series. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let your friends and family know. Let your friends know about this show where it's a nerd from Kansas City, Missouri talking about dating advice. Because if a nerd can get a successful dating life, so can you. So, this season, though, we're going to start off with something different. We're going to start off with a reaction and recap of Love is Blind, Season 9. This show I've been watching the last couple of seasons and been watching the UK series, and it has some really good tips and example of a microcosm of dating for like the pies to the actual dating to the engagement to the wedding. And if you've never watched Love is Blind, what's this show about? Well, the show, you have about 3 weeks. About 6 weeks, two or 3 months pretty much of being in this pod, with 2 weeks of being in the pods, and after 2 weeks, you either get engaged or go home single. If you get engaged, then you go on a mini honeymoon, and then you go 3 weeks for living with your partner, and then at the end of the 3 weeks, you have to say, yes, I do, or no, I don't at the altar. And pretty much this show is trying to show that, like, you don't need the physical side of things to get to know somebody emotionally and start a connection with them and hope that connection grow into something more. So the dating apps is all about the physical with a little bit of the emotional side of it, but you're swiping on appearances. Love is Blind, you're pretty much dating based off of emotions and dating off of the person's voice and character. You don't get to see the person until you actually get engaged with them. Which this show has been out for 9 seasons, and over the 9 seasons, I believe almost one person from every, well, take that back. As of today, at least 9 couples, at least, are still together and pretty much married and happily, a happy couple in marriage. Which, out of like each season is probably like 5 to 6, maybe 4 to 5 to 6 couples that come out engaged. So as a track record, 1 person per every season. It's not really a good track record, but it does show it can work. So I'm going to react and recap to some of the clips from this episode 1, and we're going ahead and knock out all 12 episodes, including the reunion. I already tried this before, and Netflix has blocked both my videos. I had season 4, episode 101 and 100 already completed, but because they blocked it, I have to go back to the wheel and reinvent the wheel. So we're going to react to clips this time around, and don't worry, I'm still going to have TikTok reaction and Reddit reads on this season. So if you enjoyed that content, that's still going to come. But we have to dive into Love is Blind. Anton says, give me like a typical Sunday. And he got different reactions, like going to the park, and then one girl's like, sleeping in. So the typical Sunday thing, I get why he's asking that question. That is a very dating app question. Like, tell me about your typical Sunday. Because what he's trying to do right there, he's trying to envision himself in the like lifestyle of what she's doing. So one lady said she likes sleeping in on Sunday. If he's cool with sleeping in, he's gonna be a sleeping in kind of guy. He's just trying to envision himself in that picture. And that's why he asked that kind of question there, which is not a bad thing to ask. Especially when it comes to dating apps and dating questions, when you're trying to get to know somebody, you can't see their face. That's a question that you can ask, and I think a lot of people will be receptive to. And then it depends on the answer. Somebody gives you like, what do you like to do on Sunday? I really don't know. What do you mean you don't know what to do on Sunday? Like, do you like to relax? Do you like to watch TV? Do you like to do, read a book? Do you like to go to the mall, go to do things? They give you, I don't know. Then they're just not interested. But one lady, then you'll get generic answers like the travel, coffee shops, all that stuff. And that's why he kind of flinched, or they at least edit him showing like, oh, all right, cool beans. All right, let's keep going. One girl says you're not allowed to follow porn stars. And guys like, people still do that? And she's like, you'll be surprised. Because girls look at that. I love the thing about following porn stars and following
social media models on social media, OnlyFans models, stuff like that on social media. I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think what it should be come down to what the two people in the relationship discuss and how they feel about it. If one person does not care that they're following models and stuff like that, then so be it. If the other person does care and you feel like you have an opposition to it, it might not work out for you two. It might take a step back. It depends on how much social media involves your life. Because there's probably somebody who's like, I don't give two craps. I follow this person, they have content, and I'm on my own business going by my way. And there's other people who are like, no, how do you follow them? Like, you're betraying our trust. And like, social media, they don't know who I am. And there's other people who are like, no, this is the biggest thing in the world to me that you follow social media. So yes, and that's why that guy was like, people follow adult models and OnlyFans models. Yes, the people who follow them. And it's always funny when a single person gets into a relationship and they like their habits of following models and stuff like that goes on, and they get into a relationship, and the person go back like, we need to go clean out your following history. Like, I've been on social media for 10 years, like following history, okay, but like following new people, that's a whole nother conversation. So it depends on what comes down to the two people in a relationship and how they feel about social media. That's a social media conversation. Because what you follow somebody who turned into an OnlyFans model? Like, they wasn't posting that stuff before, now they are. So topics like that. But all right, let's keep it going.
So Casey says she has a big heart. She wants to give it to somebody, and it's somebody that deserves it. She mentioned that she dated a guy who was on social media all the time, and he followed another hot blonde. And they always think there's another hot blonde on the horizon, and it made her feel like she was crazy. And she's like, "Why don't I look like that kind of person?"
All right, so I want to break that down as well. That right there is the comparison to Thief of Joy. So she's looking at social media, and she's looking at all these other women versus looking at herself and valuing herself more than everybody else around. So she's like, no, he's following these models over here who are also blonde and who might be brunette and stuff like that. And I talked about this on other episodes of Nerdy Dating, that men don't really have a type. There are men who say they do, but when you go look at what they're looking at on social media, and it's like all over the spectrum there. From like everybody, like I said before, like now I'm throwing Meg Thee Stallion to Taylor Swift to I'm blanking out, Kim Kardashian, Jennifer Lopez, all over the place. You have Jennifer Ortega, but you know what I'm saying, throwing out names out here. Scarlett Johansson, throwing out names. So he's following all these women, and she's like, well, I don't look like that person, I don't look like that person. So she keeps trying to change herself to match these perfect people that he's looking at, because that's where her confidence. She's like, well, if I can look like that, maybe he'll find me more attractive, or maybe he'll be paying more attention to me. And that's a confidence thing that she had to build in herself. And don't look at social media as a source of value, but just, it is what it is. It's entertainment. It's not a reality, and it's not who you are, because at the end of the day, that guy probably doesn't have a chance with those women he's trying to talk to or women he's following. Now, if he's actually talking to, that's a problem. If I say that, if he's actually talking to the women, that's a problem. But as far as like just following, if he just following a page and they're there, so be it. But it also come down to how you guys feel, how you had that conversation. I think social media today, when it comes to dating, needs to be brought up at the beginning, not at the end, not in the middle of dating, at the beginning of dating. What is your thought process and views of social media? How do you feel about a follow? How do you feel about a like? Because it's such a big thing in our zeitgeist. TikTok, Instagram, Reels, all that stuff. Social media. Everybody's on social media probably at least an hour a day. At least. There's math out there and statistics out there probably shows more. But you have to look into that and understand that it's not a reality, and watch that person's actions. They're not treating you the way you want to be treated, then there it is. But like, if you guys can't agree on stuff like that, they're probably not the best match for you. Now, she said she dated people off and on, or she dated her boyfriend off and on for 10 years, 27, she was single. Her last boyfriend's on social media. He's a social media guy, and that's what he's about. That should get a heads up right there, and you ask yourself, are you comfortable with that? But all right, get off tangent, let's keep it going.
This is Patrick and Anna just talking about, like, they don't have middle names, and how he had his middle name, but his adopted father, and they did a Spider-Man meme with a pointing finger meme to each other. That's what they did behind the walls here.
I like the connection there. There's like, even talk about Spider-Man, so that's not like racial or background topics, and they both like, okay, we know Spider-Man meme, which everybody's pointing at, and and he also mentioned Spider-Man, so at least they know there's something geeky about these two. I like that. I like that little interaction they have there. It's a little fun interaction.
Blake brings up is any hot topic buttons you'd like to get into, and they talk about religion. That's one of the hot topic buttons to get into.
I think that is a good thing to talk about. Is like, let's touch the hot button topics. Get it out the way at first. I know some people like the first date should be casual and cool, but also they only have 2 weeks. But I definitely think on the first date you should at least talk about a few things that, if you're especially dating for attention and dating for a partner, you should talk about some few things. That way you can learn real quick. This person's not the right person for me. I'm not gonna waste this person's time. In the real world, if you want to take it slow, you can take it slow and not get to know somebody on a personal level or a deeper level. But I definitely believe that if you're going on a date and dating for marriage and dating for intention, dating for a companion, you should definitely ask those questions. What's your religious background? Are you religious? How do you feel about dating if you're dating outside your race? How do you feel about dating other types of races? Or do your family even care? Something like that, which sometimes some families do. Like her family mentioned, like they was like, well, we kind of just got used to the fact that she's going to date outside of the Asian race, and that's okay with us. But you have to ask those questions, especially if you're looking to meet an actual partner for lifelong, like for a long time or for marriage. Now, you're looking to have fun. You don't have to ask questions like that, but let the person know that, hey, you're having fun. You're not trying to waste their time, because there were going to be somebody who's sitting there and like, I'm looking for marriage, and on the first date, and they're like, you're talking to them and dating and getting to know each other, but then you're like, I just not looking for anything serious right now, but I'm really hang out, and they're sticking around because they're like, well, he said not right now. I think you definitely should be 100% honest about your intent when it comes to dating.
Blake ended up talking about his grandma. His grandma said, like, do you have any women in your life? And he said, no, there's not, because he always focuses on work and putting work as a priority. And he said he needed to kind of let his career fall behind, become second, let dating become what he needs to focus on, and put dating as a priority. And his grandma said, yeah, that's a good idea. And he's like, well, if my grandma realized that, that means it's probably true. I probably should make dating a priority.
I want to talk about that. So Blake talked about focusing on his career, and he said maybe prioritize dating. If you're looking to find a partner in life, you have to prioritize dating. Like, it is a thing. You can just use dating life and be nonchalant about it, but you might not find quality people that you're looking to spend the rest of your life with. And yes, you might come across somebody who you're like, okay, I'm really enjoying this now, but are they a good for lifelong partner, or they're just here for the moment? So you should prioritize dating. It should be something you should focus on. Not like stress about, like, it has to be perfect. If it doesn't be perfect, everything's going downhill. Don't do that. But you definitely should, dropping the notebook I had, my bad guys, but you definitely should put it on the list of things. Dating is a full-time job in a sense, because you're taking time and effort. Like, it's something serious. Your marriage should not be anything to joke with. It should be something you're looking to date and meet somebody and be with them for the rest of your life. It shouldn't be, well, we'll get married and see how this happens, see what it turns out. No, we're getting married to build a life together and have companionship and live until we're, 90 years old in the rocking chair, 110 years old in the rocking chair together, back on the porch. So I do agree you should prioritize dating. Now you're building your years, building your career up and building everything up, and you get to the point where you're like, all right, I feel good. I feel like I at a point in my life where I can date and not have hassle, worry about the next paycheck. Great, do it. If it's 32, do it. If it's 27, do it. So I agree with his grandma. You should prioritize dating.
Megan talked about her being single due to her successes, and that people are not really, guys don't know if they can live up to her expectation because of that, and guys are insecure, they're not making enough for her to date her.
I'm gonna let her finish, but I definitely want to talk about that point about the intimidation factor, because she said, like, men are intimidated by her, and by the car she drives and the house she lives. But it also depends on how she flaunts it and what she wants of her partner. If she's like, I'm making $250,000, my partner make $300,000, it's gonna be hard for her to meet somebody like that and for them to be comfortable, especially if she be the guy who's not at that level yet and he's underneath and he's making $70,000 or $50,000, and she's like, well, I want my partner to make $300,000. We got to get to this point, and he's like, well, how long do you need me to get to this point? Because if your timeline is kids in 5 years, I probably won't be able to get that $300,000 in 5 years unless I just bit into a big investment and then all of a sudden my business takes off and so forth. But the dude's working at, let's say, at a, I don't know, just as like a supervisor of a department store. He's probably not making that money. So it depends on what she's putting out there and how she's putting that information out and how she's flaunting it and what she's demanding of her partner. If she's telling somebody, I want you to be, making this much money, and they're like, that's your dream man, I'm probably not gonna be able to make it. So I'm either gonna hustle my butt to try to get there, or I'm just not gonna be the guy for you. So I'm gonna see what she says going forward.
So Megan says she's into traditional gender roles when it comes to relationships, and Mike was like, he's kind of surprised by that because she's in a tech startup, and that is something that she brought up. She wants traditional gender roles there because Mike was like, well, dishes are dirty, we'd be mad at that, and she's like, I'll be annoyed but not truly upset.
I agree with him on that. She says I'm into more traditional roles, but yet like she's a business owner. She's going after stuff. When you hear people say they're in traditional roles, you don't really think of the lady being, probably the breadwinner of the house or being somebody who's like making the most money, unless, like I said earlier, she's looking for a man. If she's making, $2 million, she wants a man who makes $5 million. But yeah, I wouldn't think somebody said they're they were traditional when they're like a go-getter hustler like she is.
So Megan talk about having a amazing career, but also value being the mother being the nurturer, and she wants the guy to be the quote unquote the provider, but like for security and safety. And there's something to be said about that. And but Mike said he want to take care of his woman.
But exactly that right there, like that kind of thing where she wants somebody to be the quote unquote provider and do all these things. Well, today when you can provide everything for yourself, it's kind of hard to be a provider in a situation when if you're looking financial aspect of it now, security, stuff like that. Yeah, have somebody look at somebody got your back. But that role of provider and that role of the traditional styles in modern day America and modern day society has changed. You have to look at it and see, okay, why are we holding ourselves to the standards of dead people? They're not living our lives anymore. They're not living the world we're living in. Things have changed. So there's a way you can be a provider. There's a way you can be a great partner. But if you're looking for they need to be, what did she say? Quote unquote, security and safety. Now there are emotional security and emotional safety that comes with it. It's not gonna look like the same way as the old traditional where everything's gonna be taken care of. Maybe somebody who you can talk to and invest in and confide in, that kind of safety. Somebody you can have a conversation with where you feel like you're not on eggshell when you have a conversation and you guys feel like you're working together. That kind of security, that kind of safety. But when she said I want a quote unquote, provider, she needs to be more clear at that because everybody's mentality of it is different in today's age.
Right here, Jordan trying to figure out what kind of car she drives, so you can figure out how much money she makes. And he's like, you call yourself Sparkling Meg. He's like, I, drive a Kia, like give a blinged out car. And she's just like, she has her own space and health and wellness. He's like, oh, so you dropped them nice.
So I like their interaction, some good banter. I do like how he talked about like her things like sparkle things. He's like, well, I'm not really a sparkly kind of guy. Like he already told her like, this is what it can look like being with me. Black jeans, black shirt, white Vans. Very basic attire, no big deal. I do give him props for bringing that up and being upfront and honest with her. He's like, I drive a Kia Forte, which is not really that great of an expensive car. Like it could be what kind of car you drive. It could be a great car, but it's not that expensive car. And he works at pretty much, like I said, a supervisor there.
And then Jordan goes on to ask why did her last relationship ended, and she said she used to date older guys who made a lot of money, but it was never there for her. And then she dated younger men who were there all the time, but they didn't have enough money to make, have a family and have the opportunity to start a family. It wasn't at that point to be able to provide and have a family. So Jordan talks about like how his aesthetic, how he wear black jeans, black shirt, and white Vans, and she's consider herself Sparkling Meg, how that's gonna match up, and they're putting herself in that mindset.
But it comes down, she's like, I used to date, older men and it didn't work out, and date a younger guy, but he wasn't ready for that family, wasn't ready for that commitment. Which she's 33, she's probably trying to have kids by 36, 37. So it makes sense how that reality is hitting. And I've forgot how old he is. Maybe he's 27, 28. I forgot his age there. But yeah, so that like that right there, that contradiction she has right now. You already have the two, and the show is showing it. The show is building it up in that way, where she had the two contradictions between the older guy and the younger dude. One with the kid who, he snipped, and the other one who's like, I'm looking for a wife and want to be that guy. So here we go.
Ali says she's single because she hasn't really found somebody that matches her ambitions and drive. And she also mentions that she always had to coach her previous exes.
All right. When people say that, I am single because I haven't found somebody who matched my ambition and drive. I'm going to tell you right now, talk to talk, heart to heart. You're not going to find somebody who's going to match your ambition and drive exactly how you do it. They're not going to do it. You're going to find somebody who's going to be more ambitious than you, and you're like, I can't keep up. And you're going to find somebody who's going to be less as ambitious as you, and be like, why ain't they keeping up with me? You're not going to find somebody who matches that same passion, heart, and drive. Just be upfront right there with you now. Like, you're not going to do it. So don't hold it as a dating standard on like, oh, I need to find somebody who matches my passion, matches my drive. They need to be here with me. I'm up here. They need to be up here. They're not going to get up there with you. So don't put that pressure on somebody. And then I haven't found somebody. Like, you shouldn't be looking for anybody. You should find the person who matches best with you. Wherever like your vision for life look like, you should find somebody who can match that vision of your life and fill into it, but not passion and drive. And I can tell you right now, that many guys out there is caring about passion and drive. Oh man, she's passionate. She got drive. She got what is it, The Rock with Face Off? Like we're not talking about that, man. Like it bothers me when I hear people talk about that passion and drive. It's like what are we talking about here? Passion and drive. And then she said something else that also set me off here.
To coach my exes
and motivate them. You should not be dating somebody who trying to find be like a project. Oh, they don't have everything I'm looking for, but I can get them there. No. You're gonna waste your time trying to coach somebody up to be the person that you want them to be, because then one, they're gonna look at you as like, oh, I don't want to be coached. Like, they're not my lover. They're my coacher. They're my mom. I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm going to leave because they're trying to coach me to be this certain way. You don't want to date somebody you have to coach up. No. Oh, well, I can just make them do this. I can just change them over here and scope them to this. They're a human being. They have their own lives, feelings, and emotions, and you can't really try to shape somebody up. And you shouldn't want to date a project. You don't want to date somebody you feel like you have to make a project out of them. You should go find somebody who already hitting the things that you're looking for, and y'all have good chemistry and good compatibility, and y'all go from there with each other. Not everybody you meet is going to be the person that's going to be your lifelong partner. That's just part of dating. But you want to find somebody that at least match well with what you're putting on the table there. And you tell them, well, they're not at where I want them to be at, so I'm going to coach them up. You're going to waste your time and find yourself in heartbreak. But all right, let me let her go ahead and get into her talking points here.
And talk about how he built his business, bought his first house, how he's the provider in a situation. He sees himself as a provider. He's old school, traditional in terms of how he like to treat women. And Ali's soaking this in, and he said, especially the most meaningful ones, like my mother and wife to be. And he wanted to see his kids emulate that same kind of love that he would have for his wife.
That was a lot, and maybe the way they edited it seemed like a lot, but like he dropped a lot of information on her, and he dropped it in a way where it's like, well, who doesn't want to treat their wife right? Who doesn't want to instill great values into their kids? Who doesn't want to do X, Y, and Z? Like, he dropped a lot of stuff that sounds great on paper, but I need to see the action. I need to see how this conversation goes on down the line. There's only so much you can hold on to this, and only so much, even in a date where you can, I think they're in these pods for 2 weeks. So there's only so much where you could even like hold on to something where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna hold on to this facade. Not saying he's lying, and I'm not trying to knock the man at all, but he dropped a boatload on her where he's almost over spewing, and she didn't really say much. If you notice, she was like, yeah, she's acknowledging, but not really giving much because he just unloaded on her. Unloaded. But all right, let's see how this goes.
He said he'd be damned if his kids grow up knowing the mom and dad together and seeing the father and mom out of the picture, he said he pretty much go like, I'm going to control it. He's never going to let that happen.
So, look, you gotta be honest with you, man. Like when it comes to dating, it comes to marriage, it comes to relationships, unless you constantly work on it, and you can't say I can't let that happen. It takes two to tango. Like he just said, I want a partner where me and them work together, and we won't let ourselves fall apart and let ourselves grow aside and take care of each other. So that way we can show our kids that this is what love looks like. This is what it looked like having a great partner in life, and what the next 50, 90, 80 years look like. You want a partner who's in that with you. He's like, I won't let that happen. When you say I won't let that happen, don't forget, you're dating somebody, you're married to somebody. There's two, not one, two in this situation. So you can't say I won't let that happen. Like, you don't have a choice in this. The other person said, I'm stepping out the relationship. They're stepping out the relationship, and forget what you about. They not caring about you. So you have to understand that when it comes to relationships, it's not about me. It's about us. It's a team. And he should say, I want a partner who also has the same viewpoint of that we're not going to let our relationship fall apart. We're going to hold true to each other and be with each other and have that grow. And that way we can show our kids what it looks like to have a successful relationship. Not, oh, I want it this way. Like, no. And I know you say you want to do right by your kids and future. Now, I'm not talking about future kids here, but it's also, if you're falling apart with your partner, you shouldn't try to force the relationship together, because that's going to be bad on the kids. Studies have shown kids are divorced. They think their parents love each other, lovey-dovey, and then they go to college and then their parents are divorced, and like, I thought you loved each other. And like, we were just in it for you guys, so y'all got together. It's better off that they see parents who respect and care for each other, even if they're not together, versus parents who try to force it all the way through and then make the facade that this is what love looks like.
So Ali's asking Anton to like to share his feelings, and is he okay with sharing his feelings? And Anton comes back and says he would share when he's really comfortable with somebody. He wouldn't necessarily expect somebody to do anything when he shared his feelings, but he feels like he just wants somebody to hear him out and just tell him, I hear you, baby. So he wants somebody to be a listening ear there for him. He said, I get it. He just wants somebody to talk to him, pretty much. And then he goes on to ask Ali, did you get that? And Ali says, yes, but can you say that again?
It didn't make sense at all. She looked completely over it. So he's like, what? Can you say that again? He pretty much said because he said, I will only open my feelings to somebody I'm really comfortable with. Which, you're on a trajectory here where you're about to be married to somebody within 3 weeks, or not 3 weeks, but 3 months after getting to know them for less than 2 weeks, especially if you get engaged quick. So you're going to have to learn how to open your feelings up with somebody quick and understand how you guys match and what you're working with. Now, in the real world, you can take a year, you can take time, a couple months to get to know somebody before you start opening up and start getting deeper with them. But you should, when you're dating somebody and you're looking for a date for intentions and dating for marriage, you should start trying to open up more and more as you get to know them. Learn about them, learn about what their likes, their dislikes, their fears, their hopes, their dreams. You shouldn't try to hide it and be a mask. I can't be emotional. I'm a man. You shouldn't do that. If you're doing that, you're going to put your partner away, or they're not going to understand how to read you. And when you do break down, they'll be like, what is this? Why are you breaking down in front of me? That's not what you should do. So, yeah, she did not really get where he was coming from on that at all. All right.
So Calibria said she's looking for a tradition. As an admin, he's looking for traditional or non-traditional kind of partner, and she said she's more non-traditional. She said she's okay with she's the breadwinner, or she's okay with her husband's the breadwinner. She's okay if he's cooked. She's okay if she's cooked. Take care of the kid, or he take care of the kids.
I respect that. See, I respect the honesty. I respect her saying, look, I'm okay with my partner doing stuff. I'm okay if I do stuff. I'm okay with cutting it down the middle. I'm okay with how we divvy up the chores and responsibilities. That right there, I think that's somebody who you can talk to and be having a very, compatible and reasonable relationship with, because they're willing to not compromise the word, but they are willing to work with you and build a team. Not compromise, but build a team. All right, back to it.
So Ed breaks down. He gets really emotional talking about his past here. And Calibria kind of reminds him there's nothing wrong with crying, that it's okay to cry. It makes you a man if you cry.
Not trying to knock on this guy for breaking down, but he's definitely using this as therapy. He's using this as therapy because like it's easy. You're not talking to there's not a face, so therefore you're not getting the looks and things you'll think you'll be getting. All you can hear is the sound of the voice of the person. So it can be really easy to be emotional and be vulnerable for somebody and break down like that because you're not pushing anything to his face. Well, all he is whoever he wants to imagine who's behind that wall. And that's why it's easy for him to break down that way. All right.
So Joe talked about how his longest relationship was 5 years, and during that time he wasn't on a dating scene because he didn't have the experience that other guys have by him being in a relationship in 5 years.
I was in a long relationship, 5 years. Well, I wasn't on the scene dating, so they had better like experience than me. Yeah, were you not dating your girlfriend? Were you not dating your lady? Like what do you mean? Like, you can still date your woman and learn what dating is and not be trapped to just the what's the word? It's not the monotony of the same daily routines. You're not getting caught in that. You can take your girl on dates. You can still have her dress up, pretend like you guys are meeting for the first time. So yeah, I don't know. The way he phrased that did not work well for me.
Joe asked Madison, what the perfect date looks like, and she talked about going to 7-Eleven getting Cheetos, and then he was like, where are we walking, or we're like going to walk there. So now they try to figure out what the next step in the date, and Madison's like, all right, Joe, you pick it up from where we left off at.
Why did he interrupting her? He asked her about her date, what her date looks like. What does your perfect date looks like? And he's cutting her off. That's not a mark of a good listener. I understand he's trying to be jokey and play around with her, but he should have heard her out because pretty much he's just asking questions to get answers versus asking questions to listen. And you should be listening on dates. Don't just ask questions to be asking questions. Ask it to see their personality, see what they're about. So she likes karaoke. Okay. She likes singing, like going out, having been energy. Then sneak into 7-Eleven and get a snack real quick from 7-Eleven. Like, wait a minute. That's not where I would go on a date, but heck, I'm about that vibe. Let's see how this be. So that showed me she could be a little bit quirky or not so traditional or not so, I'm not sure the word bougie, but like she's not like, we have to go to a 5-star restaurant. She's like, I can drop into a 7-Eleven, get a bag of flaming hot Cheetos, and let's go on to the next scene. Like, those things, so she's flexible, outgoing, that kind of thing you can get from that versus he's interrupting and saying like, well, judging her calls here. Like, you shouldn't be judging your partner, your date. You shouldn't be doing that.
And now they're having a back and forth. They're having a little bit of a tiff here on, where they're going to go after 7-Eleven. Are they going to 7-Eleven or they're going after 7-Eleven? They're going home. Like, what are they doing? And Joe's interrupting her, and Joe's like talking over her. He's like, want to go to the speakeasy? Like, let's go to the speakeasy. Like, he's trying to figure out what to do after he asked the question.
See, that right there's a hodgepodge of a mess. Like, he was not following her vibe with that, and he didn't pick up where she was leaving off. And she was like, yo, Joe, where are we going? He's like, I got frazzled. Like, bro, you wasn't listening. You were just asking questions, because it's something you can ask on a date and just go, yeah. Like, she took you on a whole journey there. That's something that you can play off of. And then it also shows how creative she can be as well when it comes to things. So, yeah, it was a bad mark for him.
So Joy's talking about how he's dating not just for him, but dating for his son. He's dating for two. He want to make his son proud.
Props to him. That's really great, actually. That's somebody, if you meet somebody who has a kid and they're dating, you should want to hear that person say that about their kid. That I'm not dating for myself. I'm dating for two. I'm dating for, not just me, but also make sure my kids are safe. Make sure I'm bringing somebody who is safe around my kids and make sure they get to know who my kids are and be, I'm still you're still dating for yourself, yes, but also you gotta be dating. You're dating for two, so you gotta date with your kid in mind. You just can't be, all right, I'm gonna go out, let my mom or my grandma or my sister or brother watch my kid while I go on a date every weekend. Like, no, like you have to be like, hey, I can't make it out this night. My kids, staying home with my kids, or my kid has a thing going on, but I can reschedule to next week or whatever the case would be. Or I won't be able to stay out late. I can do early in the day, kind of thing. Like, those things you have to make those calls, but you want to hear parents say those things about their kids and say that like I'm dating for more than one person, not just one person. All right, keep it going.
So Jordan talks about the name Sparkle Megan, how it turned him off at first because he hates the nickname, but he actually, the more he talked to her, he became confident in her and who she is, and he started to like her confidence.
I want to talk about an ick right there, because he said he was thrown off by the name Sparkle Megan. He had the ick, but unlike like some people who are like, I got the ick, I'm just staying with it, I'm going to end it, and that's it. It's like, it's whatever, and I can never see around this. As a guy, he's like, you know what? I can't see around this. I'm fine. I want to continue getting to know her, because it's not about just about the nickname. There's something more there. I feel like people who get icks, they don't see around it. I can never unlook at that again. And he was like, fine, I'll see what happens. A lot of guys do that. Guys would see his flag and be like, we'll see what happens.
So Megan's having a lot of fun talking to Jordan, but she don't think their values align and their lifestyle really matching. Versus Patrick here, or Mike, not Patrick, but Mike. She really likes Mike because they have a lot in common. She can see herself being with this guy and he seems like he got his stuff together.
Isn't that interesting? She said he's the one who got his stuff together the most. She's paying attention to what they have and what they got going on. See, that's something right there. Now, granted, she's looking for a family. She's looking for kids. I understand that. But she's not getting to really know the person. She just sound like, okay, he's like he checks off the boxes, which is good, versus, okay, what are you feeling with this? So something to keep in mind there.
She's very drawn to Mike. She states, and then she wants to build an empire with somebody, and she thinks she can build an empire with Mike.
Building an empire. She's looking at check boxes. She's like, I think I'm very drawn to Mike. I want to build an empire with him. I feel like he'd be somebody he can build an empire with, versus the person. She's not getting to know the person. She's getting to know what he's presenting himself as, and what in the check box that she sees. Like, he can build an empire with me. We're building empires together. Versus like, do you have fun with this person? You can build an empire with somebody, but because you're building an empire with them doesn't mean you're in love with them. How many kings and queens do you know actually love their husband and wives? I probably couldn't tell you. And probably back then, the kings and queens getting built empires together probably was forced to be part of those empires. It wasn't really saying like, I generally love this person and I'm building this empire with them. So keep that in mind there.
So Blake talked about how his dad passed away and how, like, you know, how because of that and he didn't have a good connection with him and he doesn't have a lot of trust, and it's something he brings into relationships that he has to trust others because of that, and he think it influences relationships.
Once again, the stuff is therapy for these people. I swear to God, it's just therapy. But at least he's recognizing that, like, okay, because of that relationship with his dad, it wasn't always there, that he might put walls and barriers up with other people when it comes to dating them. He's recognizing at least this and he's talking himself through it. So I'll give him props for doing that. Like the other guy who just breaking down, just like, you know what, this is what it is. This is my situation, this is my life. He didn't really tell you how the guy helped him out. He just talked about how, you know, he was saved by his teacher, but the teacher didn't really tell you, well, his teacher didn't really save him. He's going through that same emotion, but he's processing it in the same way about like how, like, you know, my dad wasn't really part of it. I resented him and kind of had trust issues because of that, which, you know what, we get it.
Well, then Megan turns around and talks about, you know, she don't want to repeat the same mistakes her parents made, and she learned a lot of things from her father and having to forgive him for sure after he passed away. So she's breaking down, and Blake like, I didn't know that your father passed. They talk about it. Well, he didn't say let's talk about it. He said I'm sorry.
Now she's trying to match his energy. She's trying to be like, I'm on the same level as you, versus kind of sitting there. And people do this. They when they try to empathize, we don't know how to really be empathetic with somebody. They will try to match for match. Well, my parents been through this. I know you've been through that, but my parents also been through this. Versus saying like, you know, I hear you, understand where you're coming from. That's tough. I'm sitting this with you. A lot of people be like, well, and not saying she's doing the same thing. Like, well, my parents this, but she's not being receptive as she should. She should be more like, I'm gonna sit in this with you. I'm gonna listen to you. Like KB earlier, she was like, I'm gonna sit in this with you. No, I think it's great that you're crying. I'm here for you. I'm listening. She's automatically taking what he's saying and like, well, my parents was like this.
So Megan begins to break down, and she starts talking about her father and going through the process of what he went through and losing him. And Blake is just there to like, no, keep going, you're fine. I'm here for you. I'm gonna listen with you. I'm gonna sit in this with you.
See, now you see what he's doing? He's listening to her. He's hearing her out, and then he's like, no, that's amazing that you was able to work on it yourself. And he's sitting in with her versus saying like, oh, my parents was this way. Like, no, he didn't flip it on her. He sat with her. That's like a mark of good listening, active listening. So now it could be the editing that had it happen that way, but it definitely sounded like she kind of just shifted the whole conversation to her versus kind of like sitting in it with him, and then say like if he would have, maybe they could have just flipped it to ask the question like, how about your parents, and that would show like, okay, she received it. Now he's asking the tables of her, and now he can have his opportunity to be emotionally connecting to her and kind of. Not trauma, I guess trauma bonding is the word, which is not really a good thing, but, you know, learning about somebody and about their life and family dynamics is definitely an important thing.
So that is episode 1 of Nerdy Dating. So that's episode 1 of Nerdy Dating season 4. And, so that's episode 100 of Nerdy Dating season 4, and pretty much as we're looking at the couples here, we had, you know, Edmund and Calibra breaking down. We had Sparkle Megan talk about her things regarding being, you know, somebody leading with money and people going after her for her money. And also she wants to be traditional. And we saw Anton and Allie get together. Now on my list, I'm having them as not making it as a couple, just based off what they have right now, but we'll see what it looks like down the road here. But yes, that is the first episode of Nerdy Dating for season 4, episode 100. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and see y'all in the next episode, and keep being awesome. Thank you for watching this episode of Nerdy Dating. I really appreciate it. If there's another episode you want to watch, you can look at it right there. If you want to subscribe to the page and watch more content, it's down here. Also, you have a question about dating you want to put in the comment section, go ahead and do it. Or you can send me your dating question to my email of alizakkanerdydating@gmail.com. That's alizakkanerdydating@gmail.com. And I will answer your question on the next episode of Nerdy Dating. Thank you so much for watching the show. I appreciate you, and keep being awesome.